Om Namah Shivaya. Welcome to Dots of Destiny, friends. Today's topic is marriage and astrology. Here, I'm going to discuss three important points regarding the marriage of a person. Since this is the season of marriage and February is a very lovey-dovey season, so I thought, why not let's talk on this topic. Now, marriage has many things to be discussed and seen. Apart from the whole horoscope, the lagna represents whether a person wants to get involved in a relationship or not. That is also very important. Whether the need is there for the person, that is very important. We see that from the lagna. Other than that, I come usually to the matters of the seventh house. So first I see first prominently I see that what is the sign that the seventh house is. That is a kind of spouse that will be energetically coming into our life, and we have to deal with that energy. That sign will give the hint of that energy. Second comes the point that if a planet is there in the seventh house, that means because see, there are 12 houses, 9 planets. If 2 planets are conjunct or 3 planets are conjunct somewhere, then even the lesser chance that maybe you can have a planet in the seventh house, you cannot have, you may have 3-4 planets also, that can also happen. So if that amount of planets are there or aspects are there, that means the seventh house has a lot of karma to deal with. Third point is where the seventh lord is. Wherever the seventh lord goes, that gives what the marriage is doing in our horoscope, in which part of our life it is affecting us the most. The seventh lord shows that. This is the third point. The fourth point is Venus. Venus is the karaka of marriage, and the male's horoscope, it is irrespective of male and female. Venus the prominent part Venus takes in deciphering the marriage is that it's the how you feel about your marriage that Venus shows. And Jupiter is the glue. So Venus is very important for male horoscope mode because it is a representation of the female or the wife in the horoscope. For a female, Jupiter becomes very important. It is the representation of husband. Mars is also important because what kind of Marsian energy do you want in your life? That is your Mars in your horoscope. That quality of man, energetically you'll be drawn to. So these are the 5 points. Next comes is that the sign of Libra. Sign of Libra is very important. Wherever is Libra situated in your horoscope, whether it is the ascendant, the 7th house, the 3rd house, the 11th house, and how that Libra sign is fortified or not well placed, getting bad aspects, good aspects, it gives the kind of things you have for a relationship, the kind of temperament you have for a relationship. Then comes the Darakaraka, which is also the lowest degree planet in your horoscope, which is very important in who and what kind of person again becomes your partner. And obviously, apart from all these 7 planets, we have the Navamsha whole chart to look into for marriage, deciphering each and every part of the houses of Navamsha and all these things. That is 100% there. That's a different horoscope altogether. Now, having said that, I today will discuss the first 3 points. The sign in the 7th house, how your spouse, the qualities of your spouse, you know energetically you are drawn to that kind of a person. The planet in the 7th house, very important. What is the essence of your marriage? And the 7th lord, wherever it is situated. These 3 I'll be discussing today. See, marriage is a big topic. I'm not talking about separative tendencies of a marriage life or married life over here, because that is a totally different topic altogether. The breaking of a marriage. But here I am talking when you're going for a marriage or when marriage is seen from a horoscope. What is the quality of your marriage? How to see that? That is what I will be talking about today in very simple terms. I'm not going to go into too much of it. See, astrology needs to be a little simplified also. I feel too much into everything becomes a little more complicated. Let's see it in a very light manner and in a simple way, so that we are also able to understand what is going on most of the people in the horoscope. So let's begin the details of today's topic. If the 7th house is having the sign of Aries, that means the partner will be very much focused on their self, because Aries is the first house, and physically they would love to be in a certain way, whatever way they feel that makes them look nice, because Aries is all about self. They may have childlike qualities, they may jump into matters, they can be very energetic, and it is mainly about the body. The physical body of the person is the main characteristics over here. Now this is not a bad sign, because Libra is there then on the Lagna, Libra rising, but what the thing is that Libra is a very matured, composed sign. Now having Aries, because always the 7th house is just the opposite, Aries 7th house quality is jumping into matters, taking quick decisions, and especially if there is a Rahu or a Mars over there, or for that matter even Venus is also there, all the decision makings regarding the things will be very quick. And sometimes it can be felt that if Aries sign is there in the 7th house, that the matters or the decisions that has been taken by the spouse is more concerning about themselves. They are the focus. They are the ultimate goal of all those decisions that has been made. So sometimes it can feel that energetic also, because Libra people, when they have an Aries in the 7th house with some, they can feel quite sometimes energetic also with that partner. That is also there. Everything is not bad as such, but it's a very Aries is sign of fast startups and the looking after self, a little bit selfish also sometimes, self-centered rather I can say. So these are the qualities that the 7th house will exude, and especially if there is malefics like Rahu, if there is Ketu, if there is Mars, even if there is Moon also. So these planets even spikes up the quality of the Aries, which is a little fast qualities, very adventurous qualities. They will have some kind of physical thing about them, something, whether sports, dancing, gymming, something or the other they will have, and they'll be quite obsessed with it. Usually it is seen like that, Aries in the 7th house. If Taurus is there in the 7th house, Taurus is an earthy sign and very matured, very composed, very calm, food loving can be, spouse can look good because it is the sign of Venus, and Taurus also represents the face, the 2nd house. And they can come from a little bit background which is a little cultured in the sense they can have hobbies which are like artistic hobbies. They can love ornaments, they can look good, they can be very sorted, they can have patience, they can teach you that how to endure patience, and they're very logical in their approach. Earthy signs are mostly like that. Everything comes with different kinds of combinations, but mostly if Venus is there over here, if Moon is there over here, Jupiter is there, any benefit. For that matter, Mercury usually in Taurus is not bad, but Mercury is a very swift moving planet, can have a vacillating mind, but other than that, most of the planets work good in Taurus. Saturn also may be a little boring, but it works very well with the Taurus energy. So that is how I see Taurus. Though it's a bull, they may be determined and they may attack if because rising is Scorpio when you have the seventh house Taurus. So you get to learn a lot of things from the, because Scorpion people are very a little bit intense, very much intense. Scorpions are usually, and here the Taurus sign is very all the good things of life, because second house is the family and all the good things that we come across. So if there is a good placement, even Rahu does good in Taurus. So most of the planets they do good in Taurus, no doubt about that. Then if the seventh house is Gemini sign, because the rising will be then Sagittarius. See, Gemini is the third house sign, and third house is the first sign of Mercury, Gemini. Gemini people are very much engaged in day-to-day activities. The quality of the spouse will be such, they will be ready, steady from the morning, and every day should have a plan. They can be very communicative if Mercury is well placed, or if Mars, because it is a third house sign, all the qualities of the third house can come into your seventh house matters. They can get easily a little bit bored with things, because Mars is the karaka of the third house. They can be a little self-centered in the way that their things comes first. Priority to their things should be taken and talked about first. The talk should go around them. See, Gemini is a very dual sign, and it is a third house representing everyday affairs that we go through, putting in efforts and all these things. But one has to understand that whether you like it or not, Gemini is a little bit jealous sign also. Here Mercury is in its prince state, very charming, very volatile, a little bit volatile in the sense, very quirky, very quick-witted, jack of all trades. They do want everything they want to do together according to their how a small boy is, something like that. Whereas because the rising is Sagittarius and seventh, then Gemini comes. Sagittarius is all long drawn plans, because it is the ninth house of dharma. So very opposite sign here comes together, because one is Jupiterian and one is Mercurian sign. That is why Mercury gets debilitated in Pisces, because in the Akash Tattva, Mercury does not know how to function. Mercury is intelligence, intellectual, and you're intelligent, whatever you have. That is Mercury, 100%, mathematics and everything, calculations, daily life, how to go get things. This all are the qualities of Gemini. But understand that when it comes into across the Jupiterian sign, it is difficult to go with the seventh house energy for a Sagittarius person. Usually I have seen this arrangement is a little tedious to deal with rather than the previous two, Libra and having seventh house Aries, or Scorpio having seventh house Taurus. This arrangement is a more, because understand that Mercury gets debilitated ultimately in the sign of Jupiter, because going into the Akash Tattva, the big Piscean sign, Mercury does not know where its small intelligence will fit, because that is the big spiritual sign of Pisces. So this is a little arrangement that becomes a little bit difficult to handle for Sagittarius ascendants, because Gemini is the seventh house. Then comes the Cancer sign in the seventh house. Cancer people, because there the Capricorn is rising, Cancer is, these are very opposite signs, obviously, very, very opposite. Cancer is very emotional sign, Moon is like a queen. It needs nurturing, it needs all the best things of life. It is a very moody sign. It is the fourth house matters. It is lovable, emotional, give and take, all the good things is required, because here it is the motherly sign of Cancer, nurturing. And the sign rising is Capricorn, whose opposite is Cancer. Capricorn is the 10th house, where you have to go all through hardships, all through jobs, all through hard work, and still staying with the 10th house karma. So very, very opposite sign. This is also a very tricky arrangement to go through. Very tricky, because what I will say is that whenever Cancer is there in the 7th house, the person must understand that even because it's a marriage, because it's a long-term thing, if the marriage has to grow and go both, then a little bit of nurturing, because Capricorns are usually very practical people, and they face Capricorn sign is such sign, the very tough sign of Saturn. They go through certain life process such that the emotions is even more dried up within them, but they have to understand that for the long run of the marriage, emotion needs to be filled in for the 7th house, because Cancer is a very tender, nurturing sign. It is not like the sign of Scorpio or Pisces. 3 are watery signs, but Cancer is a very soft, nice, supple sign. So that amount of a little bit of emotion needs to be shown, needs to be, the showing part little bit, because as mother nurtures, not as like a mother, but obviously some kind of nourishment, nurturing, giving should be done for the 7th house when it is Cancer in the 7th house. It is sometimes difficult, but because that's why whenever Saturn and Moon, this is Saturn and Moon combination, Saturn Lagna with a Moon 7th house, it is a difficult arrangement. So Sagittarius and Gemini, Capricorn and Cancer, these two arrangements are quite difficult to deal with. It is, no doubt. It is little difficult, but certain changes can be made. Slowly, little bit by the Capricorn ascendant, understanding the partner, the little bit demand. Obviously, you cannot give in to everything with the Cancerian. Too much depth of emotions doesn't come to you. That's very natural, but little bit can be done. Next come the Leo sign in the 5th house, and here's the Lagna Aquarius. Now, when Leo is all about pomp and show, and they want to be they're the king, so they want to take the lead. So, and as Aquarius is a better sign of Saturn than, Capricorn is all about karma, Aquarius is the karma phala. So, you must understand that if the 7th house needs that kind of energy, that they want to become that superior, because see, Leo is a kingly sign. Habits die hard. Because that is the arrangement of Aquarius Leo axis is as such, what kind of personality comes into your life is a little bit Leo like, and especially Sun is very well placed. See, here if Sun is debilitated in your horoscope, if you're Aquarius Lagna having 7th house Leo, you will have an energy coming towards you which is a little kingly. If not outwardly, in their head they will feel like a king. And they can have certain ego issues also. They want to show off to the people that this is my partner, this is my life requires some, status. Maybe I'm just telling the probabilities. So if that kind of thing happens, let it happen a little bit, doesn't matter. And especially if Sun is well placed, suppose Sun is in Aries, in Leo itself, in Sagittarius, in these signs, especially the fiery signs, that person will require a lot of attention. They demand attention from you, and this attention is not like the emotional attention of Cancerians. This is a high demand, that here I am the boss and look towards me. See, it is like that. The sign is like that. It's a royal sign. So if sun is well placed, that kind of a spouse will come into your life. You have to go through a little bit of more adjustment in this matter, but you understand one thing: the Leo people are also big hearted people, usually. If the sun is well placed, if sun is debilitated, then, or Rahu conjunct, they can have some bad name or something, some extravagant show about them, some can be more dominating. These things can happen. But if more or less the sun is well placed, they will have a big heart also. They will be giving to you also. So I feel this is not a bad arrangement of Aquarius and Leo. Both are very prominent signs, because one is the 5th house and one is the 11th house. So a little bit, yes, sometimes it can feel a power struggle, because see, Aquarius sign is also the 11th house of Saturn sign. So they are very intellectual sign, and the 7th house Leo wants to grab all the attention. So it can feel a tug of war at times. Both parties are head on, but it is not a bad arrangement if it is handled a little carefully. That's the thing. Next comes is that the sign of Virgo in the 7th house. Virgo having in the 7th house Pisces rising. Pisces are very, again what I said just now about Gemini and Sagittarius, here it is also applied more, because Virgo is where Mercury gets exalted. 7th house Virgo means the quality of the spouse will be quite materialistic, quite nitpicking, quite 6th house matters. They can love to in the sense not quarrel. They can love to have long-term discussions. They will try to prove their point. Their speech can be good if Mercury is good placed, because wherever Virgo is, the sign of Virgo is such, it will invite some kind of conflict over there. Definitely it will. Every marriage has conflicts, no doubt, but Virgo is the original 6th house sign, and Mercury gets exalts over them. So why it is like that? Mercury wants this kind of things. They can fight for small things also. They can be head on for small things also. And the Pisces quality is such, it's big, it's very big. It is a 12th house. Very difficult to grasp the quality of the Pisces, the sign. It is the 12th house matters which are very difficult for the normal eyes to see. So you being the Pisces ascendant, when you have Virgo rising in the 7th, it may be difficult for you to make that person understand, or just what you feel or what you want to say. That can be quite a difficulty. That can happen. But this is how the arrangement is. These people are also giving, they can also, Virgo is the original lady, that virgin sign, they have patience also. This is not the Gemini sign. They have a lot of patience. So but only problem is with the thinking pattern. One thinking is quite expansive, and one thinking is about daily matters and very nitpicking and very particular about things. There lies the difference with the Virgo sign whenever it is rising in your 7th house. So that is a quality, or that is a quality of the partner that is coming into your life, that kind of a quality. Next comes your when Libra is in the 7th house. So for Aries person, sometimes when Libra is in the 7th house, Libra people are very usually very diplomatic, calm, composed. Sometimes, like not every Libran will be like that, but if Venus is well placed, so Aries can think that it's taking too much time for the other person to understand, because but what I've seen is that whenever there is a Mars-Venus combination, that whether it is Aries, Libra or Scorpio, Taurus, the marriage never usually does not hits the rock bottom. It goes on, because Mars and Venus are those two planets. They're neutral with each other. But obviously the Aries person is fast to jump. The Libra is like, wait, let's see, because Saturn gets exalted over here. So they know the long term things. They has to be understood in a very subtle way. Librans are like that. They always try to make a balance. Aries is not like that. Total opposite to Libra, totally opposite. So the Aries person must also understand, if the rising is Aries having a 7th house, the person, the wife or the husband can be quite diplomatic in nature, can speak very softly, very classy person. They may need special things in their life, without which, special means maybe a small anything small also. If Venus is good for a Libra person, that kind of energy, having the Libra energy, the person needs to fulfill that thing, then only, that's why they are classy people. So the Aries must also understand everything should not be done in haste. They should also assign some time to the 7th house person that is just opposite to them. Now comes the when the 7th house is Scorpio. Scorpio is a very deep, dark, emotional sign. And for Taurus ascendant, Scorpio, the 7th house, is very sometimes difficult to understand, because they have so many layers to it. The Taurus is the 2nd house, Scorpio is the 8th house. 2nd house is everything good. 8th house is very difficult to understand the depth of that house itself. So if any malefic is working over here, for even benefic it is very difficult. Then the marriage can become too unpredictable and very change. As it is, see, for Taurus ascendant, one thing is certain, that because the 7th house is Scorpio sign, marriage will bring lot of changes in the life of the person. That is said and done, 100% it will happen, because the sign of Scorpio is like that. That is why you have got a Taurus rising. Why you have got that rising? So that your 7th partner, whoever comes in whichever energy it is, it will carry the transformative quality in the marriage. That will happen. Now whether the transformation is subtle, which is easily handled and you change with it, because Taurus is a fixed sign, some changes are required. Whether you are able to do that change, or the change is so much that it decays and decomposes the marriage, that's a total chapter, different chapter altogether. But handling Scorpio energy wherever it is difficult, no doubt about it. There are certain signs like Virgo, Scorpio, these energies are 6th house sign, 8th house sign. Pisces, difficult to handle these signs. So definitely this 7th house needs more attention and more understanding the layers of Scorpio than most of the other 7th house signs. Yes, it does. Then comes your, after Scorpio is the Sagittarius sign. So rising is Gemini. See, Gemini, when it is a rising and Sagittarius is the 7th house, Gemini people must understand one thing. Sagittarius is the original 9th house and they are free spirit people. And not only that, they have a very Jupiterian kind of free spirit, keeping the dharma intact. Mostly, if Sagittarius or Jupiter is well placed, I mean, there is no very bad malefic influences on the sign of 7th house. 7th house being the Sagittarian sign, they want to work with whole of the society, because Jupiter is like that kind of a planet. It is a very benevolent planet. It will not think only about itself. It will think about the greater good. The ideas will be of the greater good. That needs to be understood by the Gemini ascendant. So this is a classic case of not misunderstanding the partner, as the ideas of the partner are very different from your ideas. Being a Gemini ascendant, you must feel that this is, because see, Gemini is the 3rd house of day-to-day desires, and in Sagittarius it is about building the norms of the dharmas of the society, the religions of the society. Religion, not physically that person becomes a preacher or a religious some personality, but it is about going with everything. So and following the norms, and that is very important. They adhere usually to the norms. They think about the bigger picture. They don't concentrate on the daily things of life. So this Gemini ascendant being Sagittarius, the 7th house, must understand that will be the qualities of the partner. The partner will have such qualities. If Jupiter is debilitated, yeah, then maybe some compromise, some situation can be compromised for them. They may not look into things in that way, that's a different thing. But if Jupiter is good sign, Jupiter is not by afflicted by Rahu or something like that, then that Jupiter will have an essence of a goodness. And maybe the marriage matters, sometimes they think so much out of the box, or like the Sagittarian quality, they always cannot think about what should I do in my marriage to give the marriage a different vibe. They think about the whole perspective of life, and they want to go with many people together. So that is how the Sagittarian, because it is a Jupiterian ninth house sign, it's very widespread sign. That is the main thing about Sagittarius. And then comes Capricorn being in the seventh house. So Cancer is the rising. It is quite a difficult placement for Cancer, having seventh Capricorn, because they feel they are not understood and given the nourishment that they require. Yes, Saturnic sign Capricorn, the 10th house qualities, when you bring into the marriage life, it's quite difficult, understood. Because see, the Capricorn personality which is coming into your life will bring the qualities of the 10th house and Saturn, like workaholic, maybe day and night working, not too much interested in the marriage. They don't take marriage as a very joyful affair, they take it as a responsibility, because their life is about responsibilities. If Saturn is in dignity, then even more. So you must understand that expectation about the emotional quotient should be a little curved and little less, and if you imbibe a little bit of practical qualities, then that emotional intelligence can also become a good give and take in this sign. Because see, Saturn is a very emotionally intelligent planet. What is the meaning of this is that Saturn says that if you are troubled in your suppose you had a bad childhood, now you grow up, you cannot emotionally grumble and drain yourself thinking about your childhood. You have to move on and take on the practical examples from there, and deal with life. So that is how the sign of Capricorn is. So a Cancer ascendant has to understand that this sign is dry sign, is a workaholic sign, is a little bit dark sign, because 10th house qualities are coming into your 7th house. So having understood that, if you want to go, because if a marriage has to run for a long time, then you have to imbibe a little bit of those qualities also. That's the thing. Then come the Aquarius sign in the 7th house. Here also Leo rising and having Aquarius in the 7th house. Leo is a very, it's a very creative mind, because 5th house matters, that is Leo. And the Aquarius sign is all about 11th house matters. They are intellectual people, they have their good qualities, they have lot of networking people, they can work in large groups. And Leo people live in the a little bit, the king, they cannot mix with everyone, they can have a life of their own, they can be living with their own creativity. So this sign will not be that creative as you are, it's understood, because you are the 5th house and they are the 11th house. So 11th house is coming into your 7th house, but the person is intellectual. If you talk, then if you talk, things can be resolved, it can go on in a very good way. Yes, again they'll be not, because Saturnic sign, they'll be not very lovable and very this thing, but they can serve as very good long-term partners, because Saturn, if it is in dignity in your horoscope, 7th lord, they will know how to carry out their responsibilities. I know marriage is not all about responsibility, it requires more, but still there the Leo person has to bring in terms to their life that this is the energy that is coming into my life, that is how it is, that is how the Aquarians are. So you be in your creative zone, don't think that the person coming towards you will be as creative as you are or as flamboyant as you are. So that adjustment, that thin line needs to be understood. Then last comes the Virgo ascendant with Pisces in the 7th house. So I have seen this so many times that the Virgo people, they don't understand the seventh house people's policy or their way of thinking. It's quite challenging for them. I have seen this so many times because they feel that the ideas of the partners ideas for the Virgo people, because Virgo is arising here, seventh house Pisces, is very illogical for them, because Virgo is where Mercury gets exalted. They think everything with logic and everything in a very set right manner. For Pisces, life is not like that. Again, understand, it is the 12th house. They have a lot of things going on inside them. That is the energy you are drawing into your 7th house. That is a basic energy. So you have to understand their way of looking into life. They can be a little solitary being, they can be simple being, they can have Jupiterian benevolent qualities if Jupiter is well placed in your horoscope. So somewhere you have to understand your partner, especially this goes for the Mercury and Jupiterian sign. I have seen in my whatever I have seen in my studying, that the Jupiter and Mercurian sign is very very different to each other in their thought process. So you have to understand a little bit of how they process their mind, how they think. Then the marriage will become a little, easy to go along. So that is what I have to say about the signs of the 7th house. This is what I first see, and that is the energy that your partner is bringing on to your table. So the second point is the planets in the 7th house. The planets in the 7th house shows the quality of the marriage. What do you feel about your 7th house? That is what the planet situated in the 7th house shows. So let us see how these 9 planets, how they affect. Even the aspects of the planet also, more or less, they will give that kind of a feeling only. Now suppose Sun is there in the 7th house. Now as we all know that Sun is totally in Libra. 7th house is Libra and Sun gets debilitated over here. So because see, 7th house is a partnership, a marketplace kind of a thing, and Sun is being the king. It does not usually understand how to deal with the 7th house matters, and how it defends itself is the ego factor which comes in. So here lies, and Sun is not a relationship planet. Sun, wherever it is, it kinds of, if it is in a relationship house like the 4th house, like the 7th house, the 2nd house, it can give significance to the wealth part of it or the non-living part of it, but it makes the place dry. Here the relationship can become egocentric between both the partners. That is a problem with Sun. But the partner can be noble. It can be. Suppose Sun is in Aries for a Libra ascendant, or Sun is in Leo, or Sun is in Sagittarius. Maybe the person is noble, nothing wrong with the person, but the ego flares up because as far as marriage is concerned, the issues of marriage has to be resolved mutually. That is why Saturn gets Digbala and strength in the 7th house. Saturn is a cold planet. That's the reason here Saturn does not give up. Sun wants to shed it off because it feels very lost in the 7th house. So if it is not about a person bad or good, the 7th house matters can feel quite rugged, can feel dried up, can feel ego issue whenever there is a point of discussion. Also, especially in case of female, the Sun is in the 7th house, they can compare their partner with their father. That comparison can also come up. So here that is the problem with Sun over here, or that can also happen because Sun is the 5th house lord. The marriage has taken place knowingly or unknowingly for progeny. More important is the child that can carry on the marriage. The person was not too much that's what I said, that the first house and the first the lord of the first house is very important in a marriage. It shows that whether the person wants to go in for a long-term relationship or not. Sun in the seventh house can happen so that the marriage is built on bearing of the child. The child is very important in the marriage. Maybe the marriage is going on because of the child, because Sun is after all the fifth house of progeny. So this placement is not a good placement. Even partnership and all also, they also for business also it fails. The ego can flare up anytime because they get agitated, irritated. Sun is not at all comfortable in the seventh house, as simple as that. Now if there is a Jupiter aspect or Venus is well placed, Libra is well placed, there are so many factors, then marriage can run. Yeah, both go for a party, but nobody knows, maybe, or if they know also people that they live separative tendencies are there, that can happen. So it's a very strong energy for the seventh house. Seventh house is a negotiable place, and the king is not the right person to negotiate with. That is the sun in the seventh. Then comes the moon. Now moon is a very soft planet. First and foremost, if moon is in the seventh house, there can be times where it is waxing and waning. Not necessarily that the marriage will give way, but it can feel that the marriage goes from one extremes to the other, because moon is that kind of a planet. It has extreme natures. I mean, it is waxing, waning. So the relationship can be like that. Now obviously if it's an exalted moon, whether it is waxing, whether it is waning, suppose in Taurus the moon is there, it is a very good placement for marriage, because moon means the mind of the person is there in the marriage. They want that relationship. It is a very good place where I must say 2-3 very important points about it. First is the emotional touch of the marriage will be there. If not the moon has a Saturn combination or a Ketu Rahu combination, Rahu can make it obsessive, but Ketu and Saturn can give a different flavor to this moon, not very much wanted. But otherwise, if moon is there in the seventh house, the person wants to get married. They want the relationship. If it is in a emotional sign, then the craving can be too much. That is another problem. It can be, but moon also gives a very soothing partner. The partner can feel having mother-like qualities. That can also feel like that for both genders, whether it's a male or a female. They can feel this person nurtures me in a very good way. Moon gives that kind of a feeling in the seventh house, and the partner can be special, can be good looking. If it is in royal signs like Cancer, Leo, then it is definitely like that. If the moon is exalted with Venus, aspected by Jupiter, or in Gajikesari Yoga, Kendra Jupiter is there with moon, something like that, then it is a very good placement for, obviously the sensuousness comes through for the seventh house matters, romantically involved in the marriage, too much interest in marriage. So moon is good, but obviously no planet is ever 100% correct in any position. It also has its own problems. Can be too much too much attached to the partner, because moon is the attachment also. Can feel that without the partner they are lost, because the mind is in the seventh house. So all these things can also come up, but it is a good placement as far as the marriage concerns, because the essence of the marriage. Then comes, after moon comes Mars. Now Mars is as a very rugged planet. Yeah, Mars is a warrior, and what a warrior has to do in the seventh house matters. That's why this is it's a Mangalic position also from the moon, if it is seventh Mars. Or if not also, suppose you are not a Mangalic but Mars is there in the seventh house. Here the problem with Mars is that they want to prove a point. They make the seventh house a war zone. Now if Mars is debilitated, there can be too much emotional thing going on, too much emotional baggages, or unnecessary emotions being torn apart like that. But Mars will always create a war-like zone. Separative, again, any malefic gives that kind of a thing. Suppose a person is having Jupiter on the Lagna and Mars on the seventh house. Jupiter is aspecting this Mars. Still, one must understand that Mars is that energy which is very difficult to be settled in the seventh house, because see, that is why Mars, Sun, they do good in the 10th house. They are warriors, they are winners, they are kings, they are commanders. Their energy is not fit in the seventh house matters. That does mean that you will give way to a marriage, immediately a divorce would happen. No, nothing like that. I've seen so many horoscopes that the marriage is going on, but there is an adjustment that you be with your war, I'll be in my own war zone. So that kind of arrangement, it will have, malefics will have some kind of separative tendencies. Now if it is Nicha, suppose Mars is Nicha over here, and suppose Moon is there with Mars in its own house, obviously after a lot of emotional turmoil, again the relationship comes back to the place. That can happen, those things can happen. So that is how Mars is, and the partner would always talk about wealth related matters, real estate matters. That is how the marriage is seen from here. The partner will have special attention towards garnering wealth, towards real estates, towards buying cars and houses. That can also happen, because Mars is a very materialistic planet. They want that from the relationship. They want the relationship can have to face these kind of issues in the marriage. These, if Mars is in the seventh house, these kind of issues can be faced when Mars is there in the seventh. After Mars, it is Venus. Now Venus is the Karaka. Now many say Karaka Bhavanasha, Karaka in the Venus in the seventh house. That is, Venus spoils its own house. That is not totally true. Sometimes it can be true. You may be so, that person who is like having Venus in the seventh, so much emotional, so much romantically driven that one partner is not enough. That can happen. If Rahu Venus is there, if Moon Venus is there, the mind is wavering with romantic thoughts. If Mars Venus is there, physical attraction is so fast. That can happen. These things can happen. But if Venus is in a sign like which is a sorted Venus, then the marriage can feel like a bliss also, because Venus gives a very classy kind of a the person can feel after marriage their class has improved. They have if the Venus is good dignity, then that kind of a feeling Venus can give. And obviously Venus is Lakshmi, so money is very important in this. The person who is having 7th house Venus, immediately after marriage can start feeling the fact that all the Venusian qualities are very much important for the marriage, and primarily that is wealth, richness, class, certain dignity of thought, all these things. This can be very much felt if Venus is there in the 7th house. See, Venus is not a very easy planet, and it is not totally a planet of only romantic things. The Venus has a lot of shades into it. It is the Lakshmi, it is the wealth also, and also it gives a lot of class to the area. It is not satisfied with very easy things if it is a good Venus. That's why Venus in Libra, even it's a diplomatic kind of a marriage. The marriage has to have some diplomatic touch to it also. In the sense, diplomatic means there is a nice way how to deal with the marriage, not going into unnecessary quarrels and all. That's what I mean. After Venus, we come to Mercury. Now Mercury is such a planet that it is a fast moving planet, and Mercury's position in the 7th house, as far as I have seen, is not very much wanted, though it's a benefic. But see, Mercury holds 2 houses of 3rd house and the 6th house. Now 3rd house and 6th house, both the energies and the planet, how Mercury is like a child, is not very good for the seventh house matters. The person can have an outlook here and there. Mind can be wavering in the seventh house, because partnerships can be good, business can be good, skills can be good in the marriage, how to maintain a marriage. But sometimes I have seen that they maintain and they try to maintain some inside and outside matters of the marriage. They keep a good thing inside the marriage, and if they have some relationship outside the marriage, they want to maintain both. Because Mercury has that kind of an ability, juggling with things. It's a very sharp-witted planet. It will keep the humor going on for the marriage. So a person having Mercury in the seventh house, the partner can be so witty, or if it's in a good sign, it will give you certain flavor to the marriage which is very difficult to go out of. You can feel a childishness, a very fresh kind of a thing in the marriage at times, which is very lucrative for the marriage, because marriage is a long time thing, and to make that thing run for a long time, you have to put some newness into it, which Mercury does. But having said that, Mercury's intelligence is such that whether it is in or out of the marriage, it's very difficult to understand the quality of Mercury. It is a very crispy planet. Its attitude is very unable to detect it. That quickness, it acts with that quickness, and it is not a very stable planet, fast moving. So stability is somewhere can be missing in the marriage. That can happen. Then it comes to Jupiter. Jupiter is a good placement for the seventh house. Yeah, though many texts have written that Jupiter is not very much wanted, because Jupiter, if it is in Libra, there can be different, because see, though we say Venus and Jupiter both are good benefits, but they have a lot of difference. Jupiter is a guru, Venus is like a very Shukracharya. It is like a little bit showy planet of wealth, and not sattvic. So these two qualities don't match very well, but still, whenever Jupiter is in the seventh, it's seen that the partner can be knowledgeable. If it is in a good sign, even if it is in a Venusian sign also, partner can have a knowledge and bigger thinking and bigger purpose and going together with all people. Jupiterian qualities will come through. They will take the qualities of Jupiter along in the marriage. That is seen when Jupiter is in the seventh. It is a good placement. Though some problems can be there in the marriage, because Jupiter gets Digbala in the first house, and seventh house, obviously when it gets Digbala opposite, is not a good position. But still, having said that, it will give some good glue to the marriage. That is also there for Jupiter, because if not, Jupiter is in Scorpio. Scorpio is a very different sign to understand, even for Jupiter. Scorpio, Jupiter, there are problems with Scorpio, Jupiter also, though it is a Martian sign. Rather, I can say whichever planet which goes into Scorpio, the agenda of the planet is to change, and whatever qualities it bears, it can go for a deep-layered change. That is the transformation of Scorpio. But otherwise, Jupiter is not bad in the seventh. They get some special partner who is a friend, philosopher, guide, that kind of a thing. Good ideas, a wholesome environment to the marriage. All these things the Guru brings in the seventh house. Then Saturn. Obviously, Saturn is the planet which is wanted in the seventh house. But here also, I have seen that it's a very practical and dry marriage. Saturn, the only thing about Saturn is that if you have a Saturn in the seventh house, because maybe your karma is so much there related to the seventh house, you will not be able to give up the marriage from your end. How much difficulty you have going through the marriage, because wherever Saturn is, your karma lies there. That is for sure. So Saturn gives that kind of a flavor to the 7th house. It is a boring planet, but it will make you do the karmas of the 7th house. Now there are two types of Saturn. Either it breaks the first marriage and the person remarries again. That is one kind of a thing Saturn does. If there is a Rahu Ketu aspect, or if there is a Marsian aspect, or the 7th lord is not well situated, that happens. Second is that the marriage goes on for a very long time, and when you talk with such person, they will say it's a long running 15, 17, 20 years of adjustment from their end. So Saturn is that kind of a planet. I have always seen this again and again, that Saturn being an exaltation also, if it is in Libra also, its exaltation is not as good as its exaltation of Jupiter, and its debilitation is also not as bad. So anyway, you have to perform a karma wherever Saturn is there. So irrelevant of the sign, Saturn being in the 7th, you must understand it is not a very the kind of dreaminess that we think whenever the word marriage or relationship comes into our mind. It will be very rough, and rough in the sense very cut to cut, and very long running, dry, and doing the every day the same karma you have to do wherever Saturn is there in the 7th house. But yes, if 7th house Saturn is there, one must understand lot of karma is there related to that 7th house, to your partner. That is 100% sure. Wherever Saturn is, your karma is over there. Now comes the nodes Rahu Ketu. Rahu, a little easier to decipher in the 7th. Now Rahu is obsession, because whenever Ketu is on the Lagna and we go towards Rahu, 7th Rahu is getting a partner. Very important for that person, because the Ketu on the Lagna, the person is not very self-expressive. So they want to express through the partner. They need somebody through which the world will be able to see them and understand that, because that is the expressive area of their horoscope. Now Rahu being Rahu becomes can become very turbulent in the 7th house, especially if it is in a Marsian sign. 100%. Rahu, if it is in Aries or Scorpio, that is a very turbulent Rahu that we are looking towards. As it is in the 7th house, it will bring a very big materialistic, dominating, controlling touch to that 7th house. Now if this Rahu is in Marsian sign, if this Rahu is aspected by Mars, Saturn, or Rahu with Venus or something like that, the energy is very difficult to deal with for the Ketu person, that Ketu sitting on the Lagna. It's a very volatile energy at times. It is also Rahu in Leo, even Rahu in Cancer can be at times, emotionally draining for the Ketu person sitting Ketu on the Lagna. Rahu gives, they then look out for different other options. When if the 7th house matters, it's not because, see, the Ketu person is always drawn towards the 7th house, because Rahu is place where we are going towards. That needs to be understood. Now if one marriage is not working in a proper way, or if it is too difficult to handle that marriage due to its volatility, then obviously that person will go into other areas where they can get some solace for themselves. Because Ketu being on the Lagna, Ketu is a very difficult planet on the Lagna. That is there. They sometimes feel at a loss with themselves. They need other person to give a little bit of that personality support, you can say, or a good what can I say, a good way of interaction or whatever. They want that because they cannot interact with the world so much, the Ketu person. They want to interact it through the partner. The partner can have big networking areas, because Rahu is vastness. It is phailao. It can stretch And Ketu is very, very, it's a lonely planet, of Adhyatmic planet. It is taking into things, into coming into close this thing. And Rahu is vastness. So very different energy. It is very difficult for a Ketu person to understand what is happening actually with the 7th house matters. It blows out of proportion at times. Many times Rahu in the 7th house. Very difficult energy. Now if you talk about the opposite energy, when Rahu is on the Lagna and Ketu is on the in the 7th house, then this is the arrangement where you will feel that you are drawn, the whatever things, issues are going on with the node Ketu being in the 7th house, the person can find only solution with spirituality or transformation. Ketu carries the energy of the 8th house. Ketu is the ruler of Scorpio. Lot of things will change when a Rahu person on the Lagna marries. Because Ketu is in the 7th house, the matters of the 7th house will go from lot of extremes position. It will go. One marriage can break. If the Lord of the 7th is in 6, 8, 12, it can break. They can become very philosophical. They can have a separative tendency. If the 7th Lord is in the 7th, still also they may have to keep certain things in terms with the partner. Marriage may not break, but they have to come in the way that the partner, they have a understanding that this genre is mine, this is yours, and we don't come and clash over here. So Ketu is a big transformative force in the 7th house. It is. I am not telling that Ketu will always give us a separation. It's not like that. There are many horoscopes with Ketu in the 7th house, they are running a marriage. But if it is like a little bit distance with each other, if it's a physical distance, or it's like putting some boundaries, that this is my this thing and this is yours, then the marriage runs a little more in a better way. Then it is easy to handle the energy of Ketu, because Ketu is that planet which says don't come here, go towards Rahu. So how will the 7th house matters flourish? That is very much understood. That is a thing. If you have got Rahu Ketu on the Lagna and the 7th, then this repetition of events, of transformative things will happen definitely. So these are how the planets, they act when it is situated in the 7th house. So the thing is that I wanted to still discuss the Lord of the 7th Lord in different houses, but today I'll not do it. I'll do it in another video, and also I'll do the Darakarka. So these two are also very important in the marriage. To see how the marriage materializes in your horoscope, because marriage is a big chapter, so it's a very big and huge thing for astrology also. So it needs multiple videos. So today I thought I'll be completing the third thing also, but then it will be too much of a length, and so I wanted to cut it short over here. So the 7th Lord I'll discuss in my another video with Darakaraka. That will be a separate video. Today this is the thing, that how the 7th house sign and the planet sitting in the 7th house affects the marriage of the person. Hope you have whatever I've said, you are able to relate with it. Write down your comments in the comment section how you felt about the video, and please do like, share and subscribe, and give a like if you like my video. That's all for this week. Next week with a new video. Thank you.